Sometimes you have to radically disconnect yourself from standard ideas.
Humanity's dream of flight is probably as old as humanity itself. Until about 1890, all attempts at flying were based on observing a bird's flight and inferring structures that imitated it, i.e. moving wings. However, the breakthrough in flying occurred in an entirely different manner, with static wings. It was a static wing structure that was either pulled by propellers or later pushed by turbines.
Let's try an analogy. The mainstream idea is that a company consists of buildings, workstations, employees, rooms. This requires organization and management. Let's take away this concept of company from our minds for a moment. We can approach the subject of founding a company in a very different manner.
The question we must ask ourselves is, what kind of new combination can I create using the abundance of components that already exist today?
The decisive work takes place in our mind. The task is to find new combinations or more efficient procedures using the building blocks that are at our disposal.
You have a large number of puzzle pieces and the chance to use them to design a new puzzle, a puzzle that unlocks economic perspectives for you. The company we are talking about here consists of the intellectual skill of tailoring external components to match one concept. What remains after that is the managerial task of coordinating those components. Under the technological and organizational circumstances that already exist today, it has been possible to conceive a company virtually for a long time. This will clearly continue to be the case in the future.
The age-old question is, what do I need to start a company and organize it? The new question is, what type of new combinations can I put together using existing components?
A concrete example for this is delivered by the company components of Ratio Drink. Apple juice concentrate is procured from the producer and placed into a 3-liter bag in a box storage container at a filling facility. A call center takes orders. All accounting is handled by Projektwerkstatt. Even shipping is outsourced. The components named here are performed by professional companies and service providers. In this type of model, the entrepreneur's task is firstly to conceive a concept that can be composed from components, secondly to find the right partners who offer those components, and thirdly to coordinate and control the interaction between the components.
There are obvious advantages by starting a business using components.
This requires almost no personal investment, nearly no fixed costs. Variable costs are only incurred for turnover that is actually realized. High cost savings compared to established competitors. Professional, highly efficient, virtual and global right from the start.
The enormous advantages to the component model can be recognized immediately. It turns you from an overworked self-employed to a powerful entrepreneur. It's easy to see the difference to a conventional business startup if you look at financing, risks and the workload for the entrepreneur.
Professional support is an absolute necessity for an entrepreneur. Studies on successful startups increasingly show a role delegation of lead entrepreneur and professional management team. The lead entrepreneur must be able to focus his or her full concentration on the entrepreneurial design and its continued development. Management is responsible for daily operations.
If an entrepreneur doesn't have the resources to employ professionals, then I do not consider his concept as solid and sustainable. That doesn't necessarily mean that high sums of capital are needed for business startups. Solid here means that a concept shows clear market advantages that will attract customers and yield margins that you need to pay for professional staff.
For anyone who believes they cannot afford professionalism should see how things work out with unprofessionalism.
If you now have the motivation to jump up and get started, do it. This is not an economic fiction series. We are right in the middle of reality, with both feet on the ground.